All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order August 23rd of the Front Royal Warren County EDA, 8 o'clock in the morning. First item on the agenda is election of officers. Now, I've done chairman for a year, and I think that time period is very good for all the officers. I don't have any intention to continue, so we need an election. I will entertain motions from the floor of who you guys would like for chairman, and I can turn the meeting over to you.
Mr. Chairman, for efficiency purposes, I would like to make a sweeping board motion to nominate these listed individuals for the following officer roles for the Warren County, for the Front Royal Warren County EDA. Dr. Ed Daly as chairman, Mr. Jeff Brown as vice chairman, Ms. Marjorie Martin as secretary, and Dr. Tom Pattison as treasurer.
Okay, we have motion from the floor for 4 officers. Are there other nominations? Well, then we'll call for the question. All those in favor of...
We need a second.
Yeah, yes, sir.
You need a second? I'll second the motion.
Second motion, okay. All right, do you want a voice vote on this? Start.
Okay, yes.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, I vote yes.
I vote yes. I was abstaining too.
Oh, okay.
I'll vote yes on the others. Let's put it that
Okay,
way.
there
Same
you
here.
go. All right.
Aye.
Baker, aye.
Okay, that's good. All right, Ed, I'm gonna trade spots with you here.
I think you should keep this meeting, sir. You've already prepared for it. Number 2, I have to leave early, as I told you last week. And maybe we can meet next week and we'll prepare for next meeting next month.
The vice chairman want to run the show? Step in?
I would defer to the chair and you.
Well, since you just elected officers, he can't be the chair any longer, because it's effective immediately.
Yeah.
Why can't it be effective at the end of the meeting?
If you want to make a new motion stating that, that's not what you're
It's
doing.
effective at the end of the meeting, please.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on this?
Yes.
Yes, we do. So we have a motion to make the election effective end of this meeting.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, will be effective end of this meeting.
Just as a real quick statement, former chairman, I'd like to thank you for your service. It's been very nice working under your leadership, and I look forward to leadership of the new board.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think it's been a tremendous transition period that you've worked through, and I commend you for what you've done to keep us on task.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Adoption of the agenda, additions or deletions, anyone? I have a written request from Greg Harold. I think you all have a copy of that. To add the Asset Management Committee would like to be on the agenda today. Any objections to that?
It's on here.
That's right.
The asset committee's on here.
On the back.
Okay. Well, evidently this is additional information for that.
This is for the loan committee.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
And so we would propose to discuss the loan committee and the feasibility of reconstituting the finance committee to include the loan supervision activities.
Okay. Any further additions or deletions to the agenda?
I'd like to propose a resolution for the board to consider to formally ask the Front Royal Chamber of Commerce to update the EDA board at its monthly meetings on business issues of interest.
And you want to make that motion now, or you want to
I'm
add it
happy
to?
I can add it, or I can make it right now.
I think, why don't we just entertain that right now?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have two items that I would like to have further discussion on. And whether we put that in at the director's report or in the end at new business is really to the curry of the board. I think we need to have a discussion of the EDA presentation at the next combined Front Royal Warren County EDA Summit as to how that's going to be managed. And then the second item is I think we need to have a discussion on having a dedicated board member speak on the board's behalf at the EDA Reform Committee, primarily to assist Doug on board activities. The rules, as per the meeting last night, have allowed us to speak, but we do need to be cognizant of the legalities associated with having too many speakers, so I'd like to have a discussion as to who is going to be that support mechanism on Doug's.
okay, do you want to inject that into any reports already on the agenda?
Could we do that as part of our committee reports?
We can certainly,
That's what I was thinking. Okay, that will be brought up in committee.
okay, fair enough.
Anything further on additions or deletions? About approval of the
Oh,
minutes?
Mr. Chairman, you need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Oh,
So
okay.
moved.
All right. We have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of July 26th. Anybody find anything in there that didn't look right?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Committee reports. One item under committee reports, motion request for proposal for EDA legal counsel, which we are losing our attorney September the 13th.
That's correct.
We will miss him, but how do you guys want to handle that?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the executive committee, in consultation with the other members of the authority and the executive director, solicit proposals this next week in order to get this done. We need to do this quickly. And I would like authorization for the executive committee to solicit proposals, and we'll consult with the other members of the committee after we receive them as to how we want to proceed with them.
Sounds reasonable to me. Does anyone else want to add something to that?
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to post the RFP on our listserv? We have a listserv with every local government
Yes,
attorney.
oh, absolutely.
Okay, I think that'd be helpful to us, get more proposals.
And those attorneys that you may know who may be interested, we can contact them directly. Just, we will send this to all the members of this next week. I'll come in Monday to see you about it, and we'll send this notice out so that you can spread the good news.
So
Go ahead.
just some clarification. So this is for counsel that would represent the EDA.
Yes.
What is the county doing? I'm assuming they're going to.
So, appreciate y'all bringing that up, and then I have talked just a little bit. I mentioned last night's meeting that, Dan's leaving on the 13th. County is advertising for a new county attorney. The other issue we have is our assistant just had her baby yesterday morning, right, Dan? So she's out on maternity leave probably until end of October.
October 28th.
Yeah. So we are currently scouring around looking for fill-in until such time as the county is able to hire a new county attorney. I don't know, I haven't had that discussion with the Board of Supervisors and with you guys. Does it make sense to continue the arrangement of the county attorney's office providing coverage for the EDA or not? Originally, a few years back, when Doug Napier became full-time county attorney in the 90s, part of the justification is we're spending a lot of money with the county, we're spending a lot of money at the EDA, let's bring a county attorney on full-time to cover both spots. And then, obviously part of the revenue from you guys helped us justify bringing on an assistant a few years ago. But for obvious reasons, maybe we don't want to continue that arrangement. I think that's an item for discussion moving forward. I think it's very prudent in the interim, given what's going on with the lawsuit and everything, for you all probably to go ahead and get counsel. With our two attorneys both out of the office, for us getting one person to cover the office, it would be a struggle to try to cover the EDA stuff and the county stuff, just being blatantly honest, for the next 2 to 3, 4 months until we get somebody hired. So I think it's very prudent for you all to move forward as you've outlined to get somebody in to cover. And then I think it's a good discussion to have moving forward. And part of that too, we probably need to have that because in our quest to fill the spot permanently, do we want somebody who has EDA experience or not? That's a good discussion to have. So I think that's a topic for future discussion, and let's stay engaged. In the meantime, I think you're correct, and I think I've already talked to a few folks, and I'll send them your way as far as your request for proposals. And let's get to the next 2 or 3 months and the immediate issues that we have in hand. Okay.
So I think this could be a short-term solution for us, but we also may very well decide with the county that it's better to have a separate legal counsel. We're close in the range of the cost, where it was going to be a little bit more. I believe it will be less than $10,000 more. And I don't have any proposals to look at today, but from the ranges I've heard discussed, I believe we can be close that it may be prudent for us to have separate counsel. Right now, the county is using Robert Mitchell to represent them on affairs related to the EDA. And this is just the reverse of that, then the county attorney could represent them.
Can I question how you got that number? Because Dan was charging $90 an hour to do stuff, and of course it was the county. And Mitchell's charging like $250. So how do you figure $10,000 difference? I don't understand that.
The total, I believe last year was approximately $27,000.
It was a little over 22,000.
$22,000. Now I correct that, it's closer to probably $14,000, $15,000 difference. Yes, but and this is not. I just use Mr. Mitchell as an example of what's being done now.
If you could get a flat rate price, I think that would be helpful. Because I don't bill for every email, every phone call. that's just really longer meetings, longer projects. So if you have an attorney that's billing $275 an hour and they're billing for every phone call, email, it might be more than $15,000. If you could get a flat rate price for the year, that would be beneficial. I think.
Just to give you an example, I believe the RSW Regional Jail, we have an outside counsel for Richmond, and we're in our 30-some range, and it's an annual fee for the year. They cover everything. They are there at meetings. They handle every phone call, every email, all that stuff throughout the year. So a lot of firms will do that. You can have a flat rate to cover your organization. And again, there's a lot of firms across the state that do that. There's a lot of counties that contract out that way as well.
So I guess maybe I took us down a path here and we didn't go down, but I was just primarily trying to understand structurally what we were talking about. So this is really viewed as a short-term solution, potentially could become long-term, but we don't yet know what the county's doing. So
Correct. I'm concerned that we have somebody who can come to our meeting next month.
okay, thank you.
What I'm concerned with at this point. And then we've got 2 options beyond that. One is that we have somebody permanently who's on retainer with us, or B, we're back with the county when they hire someone, when they bring someone in.
Seems like there are 2 reasons, and I agree with what you're saying, 2 reasons to separate it from now, at least temporarily. And one is that for somebody to come in with the lawsuits and everything, and take over both the town, and take over both the county and us, it's got to be daunting. And they don't have the institutional knowledge, et cetera, that Dan has. And so I think there was a lot of big shoes to fill. The second thing is, I think that there's a lot of noise out there about conflicts of interest, and we put that issue to rest too, at least temporarily. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay, it's a good discussion for the executive committee to meet and decide on that. The flat rate thing sounds really good to me, but it's what we're gonna get.
Mr. Chairman,
Who's gonna bid on
if I can make one comment. I'm sorry.
Go ahead first.
I would recommend that you consult with Dan on maybe developing a scope of services, obviously, because he knows exactly what he does. And when we get those RFPs out, granted, it might not be a traditional RFP, we want to make sure that we're covering exactly what we're dealing with, so we're getting the right individual in our office.
And I have been talking about it.
I have a comment and a question. So, other than coming to the meetings, how often do you guys need to get together personally? Could we, in other words, could we be looking at attorneys beyond this area, potentially to do this? They'd come in once a month, everything else would be by phone and email. So, is that
We
viable?
think that would be feasible.
Sometimes we'll have meetings with prospects where the attorney's present, or we'll have meetings with, local banks when they want the attorney present, or I guess you could do it by conference call. But I do have a fair amount of meetings in here, but perhaps you could do all that by conference call and just have your attorney on the phone listening in.
I'm happy, and the comment I make is, I went to UVA Law, I can go see if they've got people that we can recommend as well, who be in the state, who perhaps have EDA experience, so they can hit the ground running.
Okay, all good recommendations, okay, that committee will meet. I don't think we need to resolve a resolution concerning that, but they're gonna meet and take care
I'd
of it.
like the authority's endorsement to proceed.
Um,
The understanding we will contact you back before we go anything beyond.
Okay, does somebody want to make that form of
I
a
move
motion?
with their, and discuss.
Okay, we have a motion. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, other committee reports. Are we going to do this right now?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to do communication.
Okay.
So this is our first report we constituted last month. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about communications. A lot of communications is simply showing up. So last night, I want to thank everyone who was able to come on incredibly short notice to the meeting. I noticed that there were folks counting who was here and who wasn't. And it begins to reflect on how they see the commitment of this board. That literally showing up is a big and important part of our communication strategy. When I create communications plans, the first thing I always do is make sure whatever we're doing is sustainable. So we have a small staff, we have a volunteer but really active board, but there's only so much we can do. So we have to prioritize what we do and focus on the things that are most important. As I look at EDA, to me, the thematics that we want to emphasize, which are the same ones we emphasize in our meetings and what we're doing, transparency and accountability. Then to anticipate communications needs and be prepared, and then reevaluate on a regular basis. So with that in mind, I prepared an initial report. I won't go over all of it, but we did talk last night about taking a version of the mission statement and vision statement and give them to the committee, the working committee that was interested in looking at that. And I think what I would suggest everyone do is to take a close look at this, see if we've really got what we want to have there, and then that'll be part of a preparation for a submission to the working group. We have three stakeholders: local government, that's your county boards, departments, town council departments, joint and regional committees. You have the public, it's the press, community and business groups, residents. There's define the economic development targets. And these are the businesses and industrial concerns interested in relocating, local businesses interested in expanding, and I should have put in here entrepreneurs interested in getting into business. The plan, I think, is reasonably simple. We want to educate proactively. We want to update stakeholders proactively on things related to EDA, transparency, accountability in the projects. With that, I have a series of immediate recommendations which the committee and I hope, Mr. Chair, that you'll stay on the communications committee and we can, that you and I can work on a timeline for all of these things that deal with both internal communication and external communications to the three stakeholders that we have in what we do. So that's it. We have a longer plan that will continually be updated and undergoing change as we move forward. As we get better at this, we're going to be adding things to it, but again, they have to be sustainable. Just given one of the hopes had been that today we would have an issue a press release about today's meeting, and that's the goal for the future. However, given the events of the week, it probably will be Monday. I'm okay with the first report getting out a little bit late due to circumstances, but getting things out on a timely basis gets our message out to our stakeholders and gives them an opportunity to see what it is that how we actually see the issues that we're facing. Any questions, concerns? It's a big project, by the way.
Yes.
Well, I do want to talk about one thing, and that's the website. It's desperately in need of updating. What I propose doing is that we leave the structure as is right now, but we update each section. And so I'll be approaching some of you to help me.
Do we do that ourselves? Do we do the website ourselves?
Oh, we certainly update the content, but our IT consultant, Queen Consulting Technology, does the mechanics to actually.
Okay.
Right. So we can update, but what I want to do is to be able, particularly for our economic development targets, when they come to be looking at Warren County as a possible site for relocation or expansion, I darn well want them to be able to go, at least find the sections that are relevant and have them be updated. Then it's updating the rest of it, and then at some point, again, it's figuring out a timetable for this, is to come out with a new website, a new branding of EDA, and modernize it so that we're competitive with surrounding counties and have something. I'm a great believer in one-stop shop, and the website ought to be at the very forefront of that. It's something easy for them to click through and find everything that they need. That's it.
Any further? Yes.
I would ask if the committee could work with the executive director on the presentation to the city county study committee,
Yes.
to work on that presentation for something if we have the opportunity to present.
If we have the opportunity.
That we have this prepared and be ready as our spokesman to present something there.
Okay.
We're talking about the joint meeting
Yes.
event. Do we want to bring up a date now at this point as well? You know, we have to get a date for this. We have 3 dates right now on whether we want to stay with the meeting that they set last week or whether we look at other dates for where we want to be.
Well, I think the date for that meeting, I was talking about the committee that met last night, the study committee.
Okay, so for
That's what this is for.
Okay.
Like the meeting.
The study committee meets on the 12th.
Yes.
The other committee, we're gonna have to come up with names.
Yeah, committee one, committee two.
Yeah, well, the joint committee, if you will,
Joint,
the
okay.
town
Joint
county.
committee and study committee.
We're on that board now, and at least we're being invited this time. So we'll be allowed to speak, but that meeting is tentatively set for the,
It was,
10th, I thought it was the 10th.
well, this is where there's a confusion. It was originally, they at the meeting set it for the 27th. It's a question of how many, because they didn't consult the EDA, who could attend. So it depends on how many of us can go on the 27th. I was asked to check on other dates. There are right now at the same building, there are 3 other dates that are available, but they're all in September. The 10th, which I understand is not feasible for a number of the town folks, county, because they're out of town. And the next one is the 24th of September, and the other one was the 25th, if we use that facility.
yeah. Is there an alternate facility that we could?
We talked about that last night, I talked about that.
Yeah.
And the only other alternative that we were looking at is they said it had been done at the government center before, returning, I guess by doing the chairs. I've not been at that setup, but she said it is harder for.
It is hard, you can open the
public
back
to-
up.
Yeah, for the, for the public, and she really did not recommend it. So I don't know how many people can attend the 27th, if whoever can, and
What day of
if
the
we
week is
stick.
27th?
That's the Tuesday, they're almost all on Tuesdays, that's about the only day that everybody else, can get together. So, and they wanna keep it at 6 o'clock. But my point is that if in fact the 27th is good for the majority of people here who would be really at that table doing the heavy lifting, maybe we stay with that date and keep it simple. If you all wanna change, that's fine, but we need to decide that at this meeting.
September 27th?
No, it is August 27th, we're talking next week, and that was the original one.
Joe, am I right that the town has already said that they intend to do the 27th and not do it?
I know that they've been discussing it, I think the idea is to try to get as many people around the table as we can.
Right.
And in my opinion, from listening to the discussion, that, is it the 27th or the 10th, it's not a race to get everybody together, but from my understanding, it's still kind of in the air.
Yeah. The other point I was going to make is, and I'm sorry, just want to get it out, is that there's a meeting room on Main Street that Realtor owns, is that?
Oh, you're talking about that space, but that's
Is it
basically.
tight?
really
I've not ever
tight.
been in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would not.
You'd have people out looking in the doors.
Yeah,
Look at the library.
Chairman,
Yes.
The library.
okay. Library?
But the library, I can pretty much assure you, I booked that a lot, that would be a great space in A. I can check that, but generally, I booked that a lot for a couple of my, it's very hard to get that room. They're booked almost all the time, that library is well up.
I think consistency and location is really important.
And I do too, I think where we were,
But timeliness is important too.
how many can attend the 27th? Well, then, right there, then I think frankly,
I think the important thing is the message. We need to have the recipients at the meeting. If the county and the town can come to the meeting, I think we should make our best effort to be there and meet their schedule, because they're the ones that we need to present this to.
Well, then we'll pretty much just have to wait until they decide the 27th.
I don't like to leave anybody out, but I think we've got to get to them.
Well, I think they set the 27th that night, so
They did.
if that's still good with them, then I think that we said we can accommodate and have the majority there, so we stay with the 27th.
I'd recommend, because we have the ability to present, we have two presenters in this. Doug should present an overview of EDA, what it's doing, what we're planning to do, and then I suggest having a board member then talk about other issues of concern. We'd like to be equal members on the working group. We'd like to, be able to make recommendations and participate in that, and to have more contentious issues, talked about by the board member. And to keep Doug doing what he does so well, which is the positive focus on economic development for the town and county. So,
And that would be something the communications committee would lead on.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we're on agreement on the 27th at 6 o'clock at the library.
Should we pick an alternate date in case the town and county can't come in, like the 10th as an alternate?
I was gonna say, they had talked, the 3 days that the room was available between now and October was September 10th, which from what I understand last night, there were some county that couldn't attend. I mean, I booked them all, so they're all there, and the 24th and the 25th of September. But it appears as if the 27th, since they were at the meeting and said it, and they all said they could come, unless something's changed, the 27th, since the majority here can come, would be the most viable to move forward.
I think it's important that we communicate that to them, because I think that part of the hesitation on the 27th was they thought EDA had a problem getting there. We don't.
And we don't, that's my point, we communicate that to them.
We should, if this is their group, their town, county committee.
It isn't. This
Well,
was just their joint meeting, or
It's their joint meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we should work with them, through them, to when they are willing to have their meetings. And make sure we have as best attendance that we can.
Yeah.
I move that our chairman and vice chairman be our spokespeople. And we can only have, 2 people that are going to be speaking, and I think they'd be the appropriate ones to do that.
I second that.
Okay.
But we don't make sure that Doug's speaking.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
But you,
but this is just members of the
the
board.
members of the board.
To make a motion for those two. For
Okay,
you and-
we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Anybody got any questions about that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand, I mean, I know we all have different committees and meetings flying around, so what is the purpose of this one, and who actually called it?
The town and the county at their when they had their meeting last week, they set a meeting for, it was originally the town's, the way I understand it, the town's president, for the EDA to come and do the presentation. The EDA was actually prepared, if I'm not mistaken, to do the presentation last week. So anyway, that's that one right there. And that's the one that we're talking about right now. Then there's the Reform Committee, which is an ongoing committee.
So the two are unrelated. The meeting
They are
that's proposed for the
unrelated.
27th is a town meeting
That is
that
correct.
we've been invited to
That is correct.
do what are they expecting of us?
Presentation, I guess,
I think they're looking for just kind of a state of the state of the EDA, so to speak, where we're at with what we're doing, how we're addressing the troubles of the past to make sure they don't happen again, what our current plan is for economic development work, what we're doing out in the community. I think just kind of a broad view.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
when we talked several months ago about asking the county and the town to tell us what it was they wanted us doing and what it was they did not want us doing, it was discussed that we were going to invite them to the meeting. The mayor initiated this meeting that was held a week and a half ago.
With one council and one board supervisor.
No, I'm talking about the one a week and a half ago, where they were all the town council.
Oh, okay, the whole thing.
And initially, we were going to make a presentation at that meeting, and it was decided that no, we would not. And that we would be invited to their next meeting, the town-county meeting.
So we're an agenda item on
Yes.
their meeting.
yes,
It's their meeting, and they formed the committee that met last night.
The
That is
reform
the
committee or
reform
whatever they're calling it.
They formed
Reform
that.
committee, right.
And that's the second one which we will go to present to also. But this is initiated at this point through the mayor in consultation with Chairman Murray.
They seem to be somewhat redundant, but I guess there's,
The subcommittee they have is supposed to come up with specific recommendations by Halloween as to how we would proceed they would proceed to reform us.
town and
The
county.
town and county, that they've been throwing out the idea of dissolving, of restricting, etc. And I've suggested that maybe what they want to do is to reconstitute how they direct us, because we're a sub-unit of the county, and what the Board of Supervisors ultimately says you may or you may not is what we may or may not. And as long as they give us direction where they want us to do and what they want us to do.
So we're a unit of the county, but
Yes.
the town is the one that has
The town is
created
driving
this
this.
reform committee.
Yes.
I think we should come up with a
Okay.
different name than reform too. I don't know about you all, but. I think we're all-
Well, it's their committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I think I've led us down a rabbit hole, so.
Well, that's a rabbit hole.
All right, let's move on, guys. I like the reference to Halloween, though. I think that's.
I do too.
There it is.
I don't think we have closure on this issue.
So is the 27th at least for
Yeah.
the,
We'll be
yeah,
We'll be
meeting
there.
that they called, that they, and the spokespersons, there was a motion on the floor with a second, that at that table will be the chairman and the vice chairman that will represent us along with Doug. Correct?
This is for the
This is for the meeting on the 27th.
27th.
7th.
Next.
Well, they're actually, we'll have seats for all the board members.
Okay.
So we can all come.
We
but
can all sit at
only
the
two
table, but only,
presenters.
we would limit us to two.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, so,
Yeah,
yes, that's what, yeah.
All right,
And then I guess
now,
it would carry over to.
we do have the motion. I think we do have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
And then Gretchen will need to advertise it as a meeting of the EDA board once we confirm it's the 27th.
Okay.
Enough time?
Yeah, you just call it a special meeting. 3 working days notice
Yeah.
for a special meeting.
Okay, so
Why
6
can't
o'clock.
there be one notice for all 3 boards?
We have to put it on our website.
Okay.
So what you can put on the website is just joint, whatever the name of the formal name of the committee is.
Okay, all those in favor of this 27th meeting and having our chairman and vice chairman be our spokesman, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Other committee reports, anyone else?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to give 2 reports from the Finance Committee. You have in your handout the schedule of the note payments that you can look at, and if there are questions, I'm sure Doug can answer them for you. The second thing is there's also a handout from the bank account balances as of 8/22. We have a United Bank checking of $786,696. We have First Bank checking of $252,235. United Bank, the IRP account, and that's the agricultural, and it's $243,454. We have a United CD and roughly $200,000. We have a United CD of $111,000. And the checks that were deposited to the new county main account were $254,568. And there was also a 3,603 account for the IRP that had to be kept separately. And then the First Bank and Trust account, sort of working out exactly what that is. And it's a grand total of $1,871,452. That's all I have at this time. If you have questions.
Jennifer, what do you think
I think this information is really helpful. Appreciate the committee and the staff for working so hard.
Yes, indeed, this is
Start
very,
to be able to, I can come in on Monday and ask a question about line 6 and so forth. But I think this is really a good start on.
We will also next month, we're working towards having a true P&L as well. That will be, that will be on our, we did meet, we met with Carolyn and, forgive me, the other lady's name. Heather Tweedy, and we asked about when we could get a P&L. So she's working, she was gonna try to do it for this month, but she said by next month she will, going back, starting with July 1, and being able to do what our budget was versus, and then also our expenditures against that. So I won't beat up airtime, but next month we should be able to provide you with a P&L starting from July 1. And she said she would also work on historical that she could confirm from January forward through the end of the year. So we feel like we've made some progress there as well.
A lot of progress.
That'd be a major step in the right direction.
We tentatively had shooting for the 10th of
Yes.
September.
Oh,
And that would need to have the information that we could go ahead and hand stuff over to Young Hyde and Barber so they can get the stuff for the audit there, but also for the county.
Right.
And that's, we'll have to have a call meeting for the board to approve that before it goes to Young Hyde and Barber. So Doug, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, just real quickly, if I could talk about the cash balances real quick, we've been in a transition phase between how we used to pay our bills and payroll and getting into the county fiscal agency. We've made the transition. All of our checks and deposits are now being handled through that fiscal agency agreement. The reason we haven't transferred all of our money over, and I know Ed last month, you said you wanted to see all the money get over.
I don't want any money out here.
Right.
It's out of the money business in this building.
Right, and so the reason for the delay is we had to have the creation of a chart of accounts. Heather and Andre have been working back and forth to make sure that they had a chart of accounts that the county was agreeable with and that we could use here internally to keep up with things. So we have that now, and then we also waited a long time for the actual physical paper checks to arrive. They now have those. So I would envision here within the next week or so, we can make the transition between our old accounts and new and get everything dumped over in. As it relates to what Dr. Pattison was just talking about with the accountants, we did have a meeting. Of course, the three things that we have to accomplish are the proposed adjusted journal entries for the assets, liabilities, and capital, the fair market valuations, and a review of our microloans and RPs. Carolyn and Heather believe that they will have the proposed adjusted journal entries finished by September 10th and ready for the board and management to sign off on. So that would be, if that indeed does happen, we'll be calling a special meeting on September 10th to take care of that and not delay the audit processing longer. Now, once we get that done, then it's in Young Hyde and Barber's hands to then complete the audit. They'll have the goods that they need to get things done. And I still don't quite have a time frame out of Young Hyde and Barber yet. I think they want to see what they're dealing with in total before they start making projections as to time frames.
They need to understand the essence and the importance of this, of them getting this back into the county.
Yes. I've spoken about that for sure.
So next month, we could have a printout, a monthly budget report from the county.
We could, there's
Some right off there on the computer.
Yeah, income and expenses, either, historical here from, say, January 1st forward, I think is very achievable. And then a projection out into the future, I think that's also very doable. Things like balance sheets, that's going to,
Can't do that yet.
yeah, we're going to have to wait on that till those items, those three things that we talked about are completed and we have fresh trial balances. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions from the finance committee? Very good. Thank you. Any other committee reports?
Do you want to talk about yours?
I think we've kind of discussed that quite a bit. We have the Asset Management Committee as another agenda item. Just as a general comment for the committee reports, is it possible for future agendas to actually detail the list financial committee report and asset management report?
Yes.
So we have a little bit more efficiency.
So you can see who's
Exactly.
the agendas.
Thank you.
Okay. No further committee reports? Then Doug Stanley, the county.
First of all, I want to congratulate the new officers on their election. I also want to thank the chairman for stepping up and serving the last year. I know it's not what you signed up for, but we appreciate your service, and I know the board appreciates you steering the ship during this difficult time period. Committee report, Development Review Committee met on July 24th. The committee discussed projects in the county, including the Marriott Hotel, which actually opened this week, is my understanding. That's the second large lodging facility that we have now in the community. Will generate tax revenue, a lot of tourism tax, lodging tax revenue, which 3% of the 5% charge goes towards our tourism budget, so that's good news for that. The Taco Bell and Riverton Commons is under construction. They're moving along pretty well. I would think by October they'll be getting close. They're moving pretty rapidly. Blue Ridge Shadows, we're working on outstanding items. This is the road bridge and getting into the VDOT system. They've done final pavement. Now we're working on punch list items with VDOT. Crooked Run West, the applicant's still working on revised traffic impact analysis on their application, and hopefully we'll hear more on that in the next couple of weeks. Committee also discussed town projects, including proposed Sheets convenience store and gas station. I believe they submitted a site plan to the town. Joe, you can confirm that. Proposed Harbor Freight Gateway Plaza, that's still in the discussion phase. Update on construction new hospital, steel's being erected. Congratulations, Mark, that's moving along very well as well. Leitron Parkway, I know Doug and I have been talking about it every week. We need to coordinate a meeting with the engineer and the contractor. We're getting back to grass growing season. The weather is starting to get to more autumn-like temperatures in the next week. We need the contractor on site to finish out the DEQ punch list so we can get this project punched out and done. Also proposed brew pub on Water Street. I believe that's the Lockhart property right behind the Main Street Mill. The applicant's working on building plans for that. Committee will meet again on August 28, 2019. Warren County recently completed a tabletop training exercise for Emergency Operations Center section leaders on August 14, simulating a flooding disaster along Crooked Run in Warren County. The drill was intended to enhance the county's emergency preparedness in the event of such a situation or disaster in the future by discussing flood considerations, becoming more familiar with local EOC procedures. I guess had the fortune to be here with the county during 3 major flood events: the June 1995 event in Browntown, the January 96 main stem and both forks of the Shenandoah flood, and then the Hurricane Fran flood in September of 96. We have a lot more tools available to us today. We've got reverse 911 where we can draw a box on a map screen and send a message out that's recorded to people that, hey, you need to evacuate this area. Back in 1996, we were sending deputies around knocking on doors. Obviously, the processes and things we have now, technology allows us to be able to respond a lot quicker to such events. But I want to thank Rick Farrell, who's our Deputy Emergency Services Coordinator. I think we're a lot more prepared today than we were 25 years ago.
I have a question, just
Yeah.
on the phones. The cell phones today, do you actually have everybody's cell phone numbers?
You
or
can
is
sign
that-
up. You can go online and sign up for that.
So really, it is incumbent upon the county as well to get that out for people to sign up their cell
Yeah,
number if you
we
live
put
in
on
that area.
Facebook, and there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that have signed
Yeah.
up. But otherwise, yeah, we're calling landlines.
I mean, I was gonna say, I have a landline, you all do call me, because I'm an old person, but I'm just saying, that, yeah, absolutely.
Bond ratings, Warren County is one of 30 of the 95 counties in Virginia rated AA or higher, and one of 504 of the 3,141 counties in the United States. The strong rating shows the continued strong financial position of the county. Obviously, we are monitoring the audit situation. We've been in discussions with both bond counsel and our financial advisor about, is it better to not have the audit submitted, or is it better to have it submitted with certain notes? Because you guys are a component unit of our audit. So we'll be making some decisions here shortly. What I think I really don't want is to cause the FY19 audit to be delayed. So we'll be making some decisions. Tourism Committee met on August 14. The committee discussed various advertising options in golf recreational publications. We actually met yesterday on a wayfinding signage program with the town. And Joe and Felicia were there. The full tourism committee will meet again on October 9th, and hopefully we'll have by then maybe something to share on the wayfinding signage. This is an exciting project. I think everybody realizes that one of the issues we have is getting tourists, from the interstate into and around the community to the amenities that we want them to be able to see and visit. We're lucky. We've got 500,000 cars going to Skyline Drive. A lot of communities would die to have that kind of traffic generator, and we need to do a little better job of managing that traffic. Warren County Public School properties, the county assumed mowing and exterior maintenance of all school facilities on July 1. And express my thanks to Crew Supervisor Brad Kresge and our staff. We're also covering the EDA properties. We've been doing that this summer. And Doug, I hopefully doing a pretty good job of that. Staying on top of it. So kudos to our guys who've been, working extra hard. Rivermont Fire Station, we started pouring footers this week, and that project again, it's got a 450-day contract timeline, but I'm hoping that by the end of next summer, 2020, we'll be about done. We've completed repaving of the transfer station down in Bentonville. That opened in 1994. That pavement was pretty worn out, and we've just completed the repaving, and we're ready to restripe it. Side Park, we have ripped out the old fountain that was very aged and hardly used down there at the Lions Park, and we're building a new splash pad. Our staff has basically ripped out the old fountain and put in the pad, and we've notified the contractor. We're ready for them to come in. Hopefully within 2 weeks they'll be in here to start to construct that. Being right across from Fantasyland, I think it'll be a lot of use with the kids. Revenue sharing projects, just a few there. Rocky Lane, Ashby Station Road, those projects have all been completed. Also, the north end of Oregon Hollow Road has been completed. And we're, in the next 2 weeks, we'll probably finish up Tomahawk Way up in Blue Mountain and Shenandoah Farms. And I know Bruce isn't here, but that's the road that goes to Bruce's house. Bruce always used to ask me about. Last thing that's in the paper today, Morgan Ford Bridge. It's not the bridge that's the problem, it's the south approach. It had gotten damaged with all the flooding we had last year. VDOT's going to go in and take out a section, and they're going to actually pour concrete underneath to try to stabilize the approach. And unfortunately, it's going to necessitate the closing of the bridge while they put a crane in there to do some of the work. So we'll keep you posted on that. But hopefully once that's done, it will be a permanent fix. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Stanley, what is the relationship between the county and RSW jail as it relates to mowing and ground services?
So RSW Regional Jail, which I'm the chairman of the Jail Authority Board, has helped the county out. Number one, they have taken over mowing of the Route 345-22 corridor, both north of town and the south of town piece down Route 619 to help us out. Our staff was covering it when we had work release inmates out. We're not doing that as much. They also provide services at selected sites like the soccerplex. They'll bring the crew to do some meeting and stuff for us. But they do work for all three counties, but they're limited, and obviously they've only got a couple crews, and they're trying to work 3 counties and try to make that happen.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Joe Walsh, town manager.
Morning, everybody. I will be quick as possible. As my report is passing out here, first I'll talk about planning and zoning activities. The Planning Commission did not meet in July, but the Board of Agricultural Review met. They reviewed an application for 144 Chester Street to replace 30 wooden windows with vinyl. The bar approved that application except making the front elevation windows be required to be wooden. The Community Development Block Grant, the facade improvement, the town did have to rebid that out. We did get the bids back, but only received one bid again, as well as construction cost estimates were higher than our estimates, excuse me. The bids came in higher than our construction cost estimate. We're basically facing two issues: lack of bidders, tight market right now, and the bids exceeding our cost estimates for construction. The committee is currently evaluating the bid and what our opportunities are for negotiating with that bidder as well as the property owners. And we're also looking at other ways to increase contractors' interest in performing these jobs. Parking, the revised parking study was submitted by Northern SDRC and is currently being reviewed by the Planning Commission. The town is also in the process of getting together an RFP for the parking and streetscape improvements that result from that study. Another area that I'm really excited about is the town commons area. The architect is currently working on plans for a pavilion and restrooms down there at the gazebo and commons area. Long overdue. Hopefully we'll see something this summer. EDA workforce housing, there is no change in that, as well as the Front Row Limited Partnership. On the Happy Creek Knolls Section 4, the developer has submitted his final subdivision plans, which are currently under review by the town. Those are 33 units. Hospital is still under construction. IT Federal, I state that it's still under construction. Honestly, I do not know the full status of building one.
They're still working.
Sheets has submitted their site plan for a new gas station and store. It's going to be located on North Shenandoah Avenue, where the Shenandoah Motel is located. And also, we've received an application for 2 duplex units on Duck Street. All right, moving ahead to town projects. The Route 522 corridor water upgrade and reliability. CHA has completed a feasibility study that identified the best route and connection to the existing water network for the corridor loop. The preferred route for redundancy is estimated to cost between $8 and $12 million. CHA has completed their PER, preliminary engineering review, for the project, and this will be reviewed with council on Monday night. Happy Creek maintenance. This took us 6 months, but we finally received permission from the Virginia Marine Resource Commission and the Army Corps of Engineers to perform maintenance and cleanup in the creek bed and in the creek itself in Happy Creek between 6th and 8th Street. We hope to get that work done within the next 2 weeks. Happy Creek Road Phase 2, this is a high priority for the town. We're currently working on an RFP to get a preliminary design of that road. We do have a design of that road currently, but it's 20 plus years old. This design will improve our scoring for the upcoming Smart Scale funding through VDOT. The cost estimate for Phase 2 is approximately $5.7 million, and we're hopefully looking at a potential 2023 start date. Yes.
What does phase 2 cover, from where to where?
It'll cover from Wakeland Court just past Shenandoah Shores Road, right around Shenandoah Shores Road.
Thank you.
Main Street Extension, this project is 98% complete overall. The installation of the bio-retention unit is the only item left, but this cannot be completed until a 42-inch drain pipe is completed across the IT Federal property. The McKay Springs house. The town is currently cleaning up the area around the spring house. The roof is caved in on the spring house, so we're going to be replacing that roof and trying to return that spring house to good condition. All right, pedestrian safety. We're definitely trying to make a move to improve pedestrian safety in town. On South Street, we have material on order to install pedestrian crossings on all crosswalks along South Street. Staff is also going to be reviewing a VDOT study performed several years ago with recommendations on traffic calming measures on South Street. On North Royal Avenue, we also have material on order to install a controlled crosswalk at the intersection of North Royal and 6th. This work will be completed by the end of the year. Now, on North Shenandoah Avenue, the town has submitted a revenue sharing project with VDOT to install new lighting along North Shenandoah from the bridge to 14th Street. The plan is to continue the same lighting that are on North and South Fork Bridge up to North Shenandoah. If this is approved, this project will start in late 2020. Road improvements, we recently completed all pavement marking this year to include crosswalks, line, and curb painting throughout the town. This was our first year with an effort to try to do town-wide curb painting. We probably missed a few streets, so we're coming back on that, but it definitely worked out well this year for us. The Royal Phoenix Lift Station, the project is approximately 90% complete overall. Electrical permit issues have been resolved, and town staff has completed installing conduit, junction boxes, and cable to provide service to the station. The remaining items are installing electrical controls and getting the pump station certified for operation. All right, some water main improvement projects that are currently going on are planned for this year. West 14th Street, North Shenandoah. We continue to make improvements to the existing water mains on West 14th and North Shenandoah to improve redundancy and fire flow. We're about almost complete with all the installation, so we'll be starting paving within the next 2 to 3 weeks on 14th and North Shenandoah. Bel Air, the town will be installing a new 6-inch water main on Bel Air from 6th to Happy Creek and installing 2 new fire hydrants. This project will start in September with completion date by the end of November. Also on Steel, Scott, Highview, and Parkview, this project is currently out for bid to install new water mains on each street and adding additional fire hydrants. Once this work is completed, all roads will be paved. And at the wastewater treatment plant, we are currently in a 90-day Class A digested sludge demonstration period as required by DEQ. If this data and results are satisfactory, the sludge can be given away to the public for agricultural purposes. And that's actually a good thing, because in the past with Class B, we had to pay to get it removed. So.
I didn't know there was gradings of this type of sludge. A quick question for you, Mr. Watts. On the sheets, you mentioned that they have a site plan. I know from personal experience that they tend to generate a lot of traffic going out of town and going into town. Is there a proposal for a designated turn lane going north, heading north on Commerce in the sheets, and coming back into town, people making that left to pick up their beer and gas?
Right.
Is that...
Yeah, I know that there's traffic analysis. I know there's been talk about potentially putting a traffic light there at that intersection. Beyond that, I don't know a lot more details, but I know that they are doing traffic analysis and looking at that traffic impact of that facility.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
It will be a mess.
And go through sheets and then you go to work and go around.
Okay, Executive Director update, Doug Parsons.
Thank you. On the audit, I think we covered that mostly, so I'll just skip over that portion of it and go to our USDA loans. Over the last month, we've started due process on 4 more clients and have executed a pay agreement with 1 additional delinquent loan client. By the way, I'm sorry, I printed off my director's report and I don't think I got them in here, so I'll make sure you all get a written copy for your collection.
I'll make sure.
Sorry, folks. My bad. Okay, so anyway, like I said, over the last month, we started due process on 4 more clients and have executed a pay agreement with 1 additional delinquent loan client. All of our delinquents have been addressed in one fashion or another, so we're getting the ball rolling with all of them. We finally have an appointment set with BJ Fulcher and Joe Boatwright from USDA for September 4th. And after we meet with them and we get their counsel on establishing criteria for future loans, then we'll get together with our finance committee, loan committee, and we'll start to develop some criteria for new loans. A lot of the loans that were made in the past were probably not as well vetted as they could have been, but that will most definitely change. Fiscal agency, I think I went through that as well, so I'll skip over that in the interest of time. EDA owned properties, 1325 Progress Drive, where we have Visionary Optics, an advanced manufacturer in that building. The roof has been leaking for some time. We are obligated to care for the roof by the lease agreement, and that is on us. The plans and specs are complete for that roof work, and we are ready to advertise for bid. Fred Andre, or is that right, Andre? Yeah, Fred Andre, okay, I get him mixed up with Andre Fletcher, I'm sorry. Fred Andre has developed the plans and specs, and he will work with us on a pre-bid meeting and developing a schedule, and we'll get that process started. On the East Main Street apartments, Progressive Insurance, Jory and I have been working with Gretchen Majadovich at Progressive Insurance, and Jory has been very helpful in spurring that process forward, and I think we are very close to getting that resolved. According to the claims agent, they were supposed to have it resolved by the end of this week, which would be close of business today. But in any case, we've submitted everything to them. The ball is in their court.
So what does it resolve?
We should be able, we will, all the reports are in, the check should be issued, and we also submitted all of our bills for the housing of the tenants that have been displaced.
And are they going to cover all of the costs, repairs and housing?
We're waiting to see if they're gonna do the housing, have not seen the final report. But, I do believe that probably by today, we should know exactly what we're going to get. And, hopefully they did ask for the additional bills of what we paid that prior they said they would not pay.
So resolve for today's purposes is they're going to give us some sort of final judgment in terms of what.
And hopefully send the check, yes.
That's our understanding.
That's our understanding, that it should be done.
On prospects, we've had 2 new prospects in the last month from VEDP for one of our properties, and we're working with them on that. One of the prospects that we got has chosen to focus its efforts in the southern part of Virginia because they needed to be closer to their markets in North Carolina. And we can get into more prospect activity in closed session. Under collaborative initiatives, we're working with our peers in Frederick, Page, Shenandoah, and Clark County on the DCI Immersion Tour. So that is an event that's designed to help understand the needs as it relates to workforce recruiting and retraining or training in this general area. Labor pools, labor sheds as they're called, don't stop at the county line. Of course, 53% of our folks work in another county. A lot of people commute, from Frederick to here, from here to Page. So this group is going to conduct 5 to 7 focus groups and 6 to 8 interviews with people who can help us understand the region's challenges and opportunities. So I'm going to be reaching out to business people, HR professionals, young professionals, and government officials to participate in these focus groups, and I'm working with Felicia and Ashley over at the Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Commission on that effort. I also met with Miles Friedman in Fauquier County to discuss collaborative marketing initiatives. VEDP likes to see counties working together in this fashion. They try to encourage counties to be part of regional groups. Almost all the local development authorities in the central and southern and western part of the state are in some sort of a regional collaborative group. Northern Virginia is notorious for not doing that. Fairfax, Loudoun, Arlington, Alexandria, Prince William have been very reticent to form regional groups. But it's something that we're exploring here. We've talked with folks at the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. I'm not sure that that's a good match for us, but we've also had some discussions with Fauquier County, and I think we're a lot more similar to Fauquier than we might be to some of our neighbors to the south. Under business retention, over the last month, I've met with Family Dollar and Exalta and got to know those businesses a lot better. Family Dollar is doing well. They're looking to hire more employees. I've introduced them to representatives from the Workforce Solutions Division at VEDP for workforce recruiting and training assistance. And I've also reached out to them about some of the layoffs down in, I believe it's Page County, where there's some folks who have been displaced, to maybe see if we can make them aware of the opportunities up here. Exalta is also doing well and currently has openings for production and warehouse workers. Andrew Larson from VEDP joined me for a meeting And we spoke with them about incentives on the state and local level that would be available should they decide to expand. So, they have locations around the country. They've mentioned that in other locations, the development officials there have presented them with a menu of options for incentives should they decide to expand there. So we want to do that here to make sure that they know what's on the table for them if and when they should decide to expand. Front Royal Police Department, Carolyn Stimmel has been working very closely with BJ Wilson over the last few weeks and months to arrive at a number for the principal on the project, which is around $8,420,000. This is not a final number because although the police department is over there and operating, there's still more draws yet to come. There should be another significant draw, a six-figure draw from Dustin Construction that will be, I'm estimating $200,000 to $300,000. So we need to get those draws in, get the punch list items done before we'll have a true final principal number for them to be able to use to refinance. The interest is a subject of discussion with the town, and we're currently speaking with them about the interest rate that we can all agree to, and then subsequently calculate what the interest for the construction period of the project should be, and that we would be reimbursed for on final financing.
I'm sorry, can you elaborate on what that means when you're talking about agreeing to an interest rate?
So the town maintains that they should be charged an interest rate of 1.5%, and with the current amount of construction draws that have been executed, that would be $99,037.09. In reality, we financed this thing at a rate of around 3% through United.
So that's where I was going.
Yeah, so roughly speaking, that would be about double the interest. So you're looking at about $100,000 or so difference between what interest we've truly accrued and paid and what the town thought that they were going to be obligated to, which was 1.5. And that was born out of discussions when I think that we felt that, or when the town felt that new market tax credits were going to be a part of the project, but of course we've since found out that that isn't the case. So we're working with the town to try to arrive at an agreement of some sort on what that interest rate is going to be.
Thank you.
Leech Run Parkway, as Doug Stanley said, there's been this kind of round robin debate over who's responsible for getting grass to grow out there along the project and for some erosion versus drainage. So we're going to force the issue. I've gotten a position statement from everybody involved, and I think I'm up to speed, and we're going to get together with Carl Schaefer at County, and we're going to press the issue with Branch Civil. And Branch has admitted that many of the areas out there are indeed their issue, but then there's some where they still maintain that it's a design issue in some of the areas, the retention pond at the corner of John Marshall and Leech Run. There's a couple of areas of erosion out there where they feel that grass and sod are not enough to withstand the pressure of the water coming out of the drainage pipes. So I'm speaking with Panoni about what our options could be. I think they're pretty dug in on saying that solution would work in those areas if they can just get the grass established.
Are we still holding retainage against Branch, or is somebody holding retainage?
$93,000. Yes.
Are we at a point where, are we not quite there yet? We're saying we've got 60 days to fix this, or we're gonna get somebody else to fix it for you, and it's gonna be taken out of your retainage.
Yeah, yes. Branch had submitted a proposal to where they would be paid X amount of dollars to exit the project, but that X is a little too high. So we're gonna probably end up negotiating with them, I think, and they can either come back and fix the issues that they've agreed are their responsibility, and then perhaps we get someone else to mitigate the rest. So that's just something we're gonna have to figure out here in the days to come.
All I know is that the EDA did not go out there and physically build these structures. And it's somebody else's problem. So,
My responsibility to resolve.
understood.
Strategic planning with the town and the county, we had a meeting last night, the committee meeting, as we've discussed, to further talk about how the town and county can work together. I thought it was a productive meeting. I think there was a lot of issues brought up. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the EDA, past and present, and I think we got a lot of that cleared up last night. I sense the willingness on the town to work with us, especially on current ongoing projects that would be in town. And so I'm very hopeful that we can all get on the same page going forward. That is all I have for my report. Any questions?
Okay, without objection, can we go to closed session? We have our attorneys here, and it could be half hour, 45 minutes before they get to talk. I think we need to move to that now. Does anybody have an objection to that? No. All right, somebody want to read us into closed?
She's on the motion. What? She's on the grab the motion language.
Okay.
Just like the extra part.
What?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Why got
Why would, why would we have to call a meeting in the EDA if we're being summoned to go to a meeting at the town and
Because
county?
under FOIA, more than 2 members of the public body are present discussing public business. Otherwise, a legal meeting can never go.
Interesting. Can I say one?
All right, I'm ready to read.
Okay.
I, Jeff Brown, move that the Board of EDA vote to go into closed meeting under the provisions of sections 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act for the following purposes. Section 2.1-3711A3. Discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose for the disposition of publicly held real property, or discussion of the meeting whether it adversely affects the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the EDA. I further move that the discussion be limited to property located on Main Street, Stevens Industrial Park, and Fairgrounds Road. Section 2.1-3711A5, discussion concerning the prospective business or industry or expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. I further move that discussion be limited to businesses to be located on the Stevens Industrial Park, Main Street, Happy Creek Technology Park, and/or Fairground Road. Section 2.1-3711A7, consultation with legal counsel employed by the EDA regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, consultation with legal counsel, and briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open session will adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. Consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. I further move that discussion be limited to the case of Industrial Development Authority versus Jennifer McDonald et al. Section 2.1-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. I further move that discussion be limited to discussions of loans. I accounting, debt service, and the F and N.
I'll second that.
Okay, we usually do a voice vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Aye.
Aye.
Blanton, aye.
As an aye.
Harold, aye.
Becker, aye.
Okay, we are in close.
Okay, hold on one second, I mean,
Name anybody you want?
Motion by all of us.
Yeah.
And by unanimous vote, the board, by a motion by Brown, seconded by Lynn, and by unanimous vote, the board certifies to the best of each member's knowledge that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body. Go around.
Martin.
Blanton, aye.
Aye.
As an aye.
Harold, aye.
Brown eye. Okay.
All right, we're out of close. Now, there's some housekeeping left in here to do that we can do at the next meeting
we need to, make the motion,
to,
Give me a motion.
RFP.
yes.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make that. So, I'd like a motion to the board for a request for proposal for brokerage services for the listing and sale of the Ball Drive property.
yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
We can do any of these other ones that are listed.
Do we want to do the I mean, I don't care if we do the resolution or not, it'll be a moot point probably by September 10th, because we'll just change the bylaws, so whatever you all want to do on that one.
Let's just go on.
Let's just,
Hold
yeah,
on.
we can do that at the next meeting. All right, is there any further business to come?
We did the authorization of EDA credit cards so they can.
Oh, yeah, they do need credit card.
So,
There's no motion on that.
I will go ahead and make a motion to authorize the Doug Parsons to obtain a credit card through the EDA for approved business expenses
Any limit?
I think it was 3,000 was that?
with a maximum limit of $3,000.
Okay, we have a motion.
Were we also going to do expenses to be signed off by the treasurer and one other? I mean-
Well, that's already, we already have a resolution
Okay.
stating that all invoices have to be signed by 2 officers.
All right.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of that? Aye. Those opposed, say no. Any other business to come?
What did we
before us?
want to do on personnel policy?
We'll just go along with it.
Did you just want to continue to submit comments to me?
Okay, so I can make this real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
I have made comments in red. Everybody can review, you can take this, you can look at it. The only issue really was where it says, where it states executive director specifically, we're really just adding in the communications committee as a second line of approval. So I put check marks next to the items that I felt were appropriate, and I put in red items that I felt needed to have a little bit more clarity.
Yeah, we're gonna vote on this, or we're just gonna?
No.
We're just gonna, okay.
Do it and then put it out there.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I have a question for Dan. One of the resolutions had, Gray and Drummond as well as me to sign. I know one area shows that there's a chairman and a vice chairman. Do we need to specify since we just
We
have
did.
elections?
That's one of the resolutions on the agenda today. So that's the one, resolution EDA board, officer signatures on contracts and agreements. So you do need a motion to adopt that resolution. That should be the last resolution in your packet.
It's 12-6.
Okay, resolution EDA board member signatures or contracts and agreements.
This
Right here.
Okay.
So it basically says 2 of the following officers, chair, vice chair, and or treasurer, shall sign all contracts and agreements after review by legal counsel.
Do you need a motion for this?
Yeah.
Okay, did anybody have the opportunity to read this? Joe?
I can't find it.
I did last night, I didn't have any problem with it,
All right, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt a resolution by the Industrial Development Authority, the Town of Front Royal and County of Warren, doing business as an EDA, to require two of the following officers, chairman, vice chairman, and/or treasurer, to sign all contracts after review by legal counsel.
A second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Carried. That is the last item on the agenda. Anything further?
Do adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Adjourn.